everyone, Stormy Strike here, and in my previous video about the Spirit Riding Free movie, Spirit Untamed, we found out the title and release date of this film, as well as a few promotional images, but now we actually have a trailer for the movie. This was shared by Taylor Swift because her re-recorded song Wildest Dreams is in the trailer. In this video, I will be analyzing the trailer for this film and sharing my thoughts on it. I will not be playing the original sound from the trailer, sorry about that, but if you want to watch the trailer with the original sound in it, I will put a link to that in the video description down below. Since some of you watching may be new to the world of Spirit Riding Free, or just discovered that there's a spin-off of Spirit, I do want to point out that this is not the same Spirit horse from the Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron movie. This Spirit, the one with the white blaze on his face, that appears in Spirit Riding Free and Spirit Untamed, is actually the original Spirit's son. This is canon from both DreamWorks and the creator of Spirit Riding Free. They have stated and shown that this Spirit is Spirit Jr., if you will, the son of the original Spirit and Rain. Let's start looking at this trailer and breaking down all the different things we can gather from it. We don't get the full story of this movie from just this trailer, of course, but we do get a general gist of what to expect. From this trailer, we see that this movie, Spirit Untamed, is going to be a partial retelling of the beginning of the Spirit Riding Free show, specifically of the first episode of Spirit Riding Free. In the beginning of this episode, Lucky is on a train to a town called Miradero. She sees Spirit, and she reaches out her hand to him. We actually see the same exact scene play out in the beginning of this trailer. However, it is shot differently, and of course the animation is different. The next part of the trailer shows some of what happens next is the same as the show again. In the show, Spirit is captured by Prue's dad's people, I believe, and it looks like that also might be the case for this movie. I'm not 100% sure based solely on this trailer, but we see people trying to ride Spirit that are likely people that are in the town of Miradero. Spirit is of course not having any of this and is bucking them off. He bucks them off both in the show and in this trailer. And if you've watched Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, you'll probably recognize that this is also similar to the scenes of when the Colonel tries to break Spirit. Both in the Spirit Riding Free show and from what we can see in this trailer, Lucky befriends Spirit. In the trailer, she says, "It's in your heart to run free, it's in mine too." And based on that, we'll probably see a very similar relationship between them in this movie as we do in the show, in which Lucky never tacks Spirit up because he does not like to be tacked up. Spirit gets to kind of come and go as he pleases, but he is friends with Lucky and likes to go on adventures with her. While it appears we will be getting a retelling of when Spirit and Lucky meet, the whole movie isn't just going to be a rehash of the show's story. In the trailer, Lucky says we need to get Spirit back to his family, and in previous summaries about this movie, it did say that when Spirit's herd is captured by rustlers, the girls and their horses must undertake the adventure of a lifetime to save them. It sounds like from that the major plot of this film is them going on this journey to save Spirit's herd. Now, there are a lot of shots that are shown in this trailer that show little bits and pieces of their adventures, but what's interesting is that a lot of these moments are actually callbacks to the original Spirit Stallion the Cimarron movie. One of the first callback shots in this trailer is one that shows a place that looks similar to Spirit's homeland in the original film. This big mountain in the background even looks like the same one that we see in Spirit Stallion the Cimarron. It makes me wonder then if in the movie they are actually going to go to the original homeland. The next shot in this trailer is of a couple horses, presumably horses in Spirit's herd, and they are at nighttime. This does kind of give me similar vibes to when Spirit was with his herd at night at the beginning of Spirit Stallion the Cimarron. Then we see some shots of the girls and then them running along a train, and then Lucky jumping off of Spirit to jump kick the train operator. Good gravy, where on earth did Lucky learn to do that? And then it shows a series of shots which once again are calling back to the original movie. This one shows an explosion or fireworks, but I'm leaning towards explosion. I feel like that would make more sense, and it looks more like explosions happening behind Lucky and Spirit as they are jumping into the water. And it looks like they are jumping off a ship. The next shot shows them jumping into the water. And this is very reminiscent of when Little Creek and Spirit jump off a cliff into the water to get away from the forest fire in the original movie. We then see Lucky hugging presumably her dad, who looks rather different than when he did in the Spirit Riding Free series, but we'll get to that later. Then there's a very quick overhead shot of Lucky, Prue, and Abigail riding in front of what looks like might be Spirit's herd. Then there is a shot of the trio and their horses riding over a very narrow and terrifying ridge. Then another callback shot, and this one is of Lucky and Spirit breaking out of a train car. Now, the original Spirit didn't break out of a train car in the Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron movie, but the train car scene in the original movie is a very important emotional beat in the film, so I kind of feel like something important happening in a train car is a little bit of a callback to the original. Then there's this one shot that, in my opinion, is the most interesting shot in this entire trailer, and that's of Lucky and Spirit running along a metal beam. But this shot is very interesting because it looks like it's in a shipyard or some very industrial place, based on these big crane things in the background. And I find this very exciting because this is a location we haven't seen Spirit in neither the original movie or the show be in before. We've never seen Spirit in an industrial area like this. Although, believe it or not, there was something similar that was almost included in the original Spirit Stallion, the Cimarron movie. I have a whole video that talks about that, but long story short, in some of the early versions of the concept and script for Spirit, he was going to end up in a mining town. This does not look like a mining town in this new movie. Like I said, it looks like a shipyard to me. But regardless, I think it'll be really interesting to see these characters interacting with a location like this. The final callback shot in this trailer is of Lucky and Spirit jumping off presumably this metal beam they were just running across in a shipyard. And it looks like they're possibly trying to jump onto a boat. This isn't confirmed, this is just what I'm kind of inferring based on the trailer. This particular shot is a pretty obvious callback to when Spirit jumped that impossibly long gap in the canyon in the original movie. Him and Little Creek made this ginormous leap, and then here we are seeing something similar with Spirit Jr. and Lucky. Some other shots shown in the trailer are of the girls eating marshmallows around a campfire at night, and then we see Lucky pulling off some more fighting moves. And then that is the end of the trailer. It says it's only going to be in theaters coming out June 4th, which I think is jumping the gun a little bit on assuming that things are going to be better enough by then so that people can go see this movie in theaters. Hopefully things are better enough by then, but I already have a bad feeling about how this movie might do in the box office because of the pandemic. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this movie does really well. I'd like to see it in theaters myself if I can, but right now all the movie theaters around me are still closed and we don't know for sure yet where the world will be at by then. So we'll see what happens with that, but I will try to see this movie in theaters when it comes out if I can see it safely. I'll of course do a review video about it afterwards. And again, I do hope that this movie does actually do well. Now let's talk about the visuals for this movie because it is a pretty drastic change compared to the Spirit Riding Free series. And it's a really big change from the original Spirit Stallion, the Cimarron movie, if this is your first time hearing about Spirit Riding Free. The overall style of this film has changed. All the characters got a new look, and I've seen some complaints about this new style. I personally don't mind it. I think it's fine. I actually think the horses look pretty good overall. I'm actually really digging Spirit and Chica Linda's design. I think they look really good. The human characters are pretty different from the show, especially when you look at their faces. They now have a lot larger eyes and rounder faces, which makes them look younger and more cartoony. There's also been some minor changes to them. For example, Prue got a new hairdo, and as I mentioned earlier, Jim Prescott, Lucky's dad, looks like he got a bit of a design change. There's no more mustache for him, I guess. The tack on Boomerang and Chica Linda has changed. In the Spirit Riding Free show, they all have this kind of generic-looking bitless bridles. They kind of just resemble the kind of bridle you'd get with like a cheap horse toy. But in the movie, we can see that Chica Linda now has a western bridle with a snaffle bit. Boomerang still has a bitless bridle in this promotional image, but in the trailer, we see that he does actually have a bit and a noseband on his bridle. Boomerang also has a breast collar. The animation in general for this movie is a big upgrade from the show. Might not be super easy to tell that in this trailer, because this trailer itself isn't super high def, but this movie is in a 3D animation style like in the show. However, everything just has better animation overall. The textures and lighting are very improved upon. You can really see this with the horses, for example, when it comes to textures. They have a lot of detail in their coats, so now they have a more realistic herring texture to them. The models for these characters also look good. They look like they move well and move like they should. And other aspects like the longer hair on the horses and the characters looks just better overall. Obviously, a lot more time and rendering has been put into this animation to make it look better. This movie probably has a much bigger budget than the Netflix show, so of course they are going to put a lot of their resources into making the animation look better with a more polished and detailed look. Overall, the animation looks nice, the models look good, and it looks like they move very well. So this is definitely an improvement from the show if you are looking at just the animation technical standpoints. Let's go over another pretty big change for this movie compared to the Spirit Riding Free series, and that is that the majority of the voice actors, or possibly even all of them, are not the same ones from the show. In Spirit Riding Free, Lucky Prescott is played by Amber Frank, but in Spirit Untamed, Lucky is played by Isabel Merced, who according to the article of People.com, will also have music featured in this film. Jake Gyllenhaal will be Lucky's father, Jim Prescott, and Julianne Moore will be Lucky's Aunt Cora. So there are some big-name actors in this movie. I am personally a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal and Julianne Moore and their work, so I'm actually pretty excited to see that they're going to be in this movie. It is a pretty big change that the voice cast is basically being completely recasted for this movie. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to get used to at first when watching this movie because I have gotten so used to how the characters sound on this show. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, it's just that it'll be different, something to adjust to. I believe that pretty much wraps up my analysis of the Spirit Untamed trailer. I was going to include talking about the Spirit Untamed video game, toys, and other merchandise for this movie in this video, but I think I'll save that for a different video as there is a lot to cover on just talking about the merchandise. If you are interested in the world of Spirit Riding Free, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, or just horses in general, consider subscribing to my channel as the majority of my content is about horses and model horses. What do you think about Spirit Untamed so far based on this first trailer? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone!